Hey, hello everyone, good evening. So welcome to my channel. So we are going to talk about one of the most popular topic which I have been getting a lot of requests from my friends on my YouTube channel as well as a different connection. What is software environment? So what is software environment is all about? So I must say it's a playground. It's all about a playground for a developer, playground for a tester, playground for the user acceptance, somebody, a business. So how I am calling it as a playground, because this is the place where they perform their operation. So software environment is a combination of libraries, combination of database, combination of different objects, combination of different files and a memory, the memory allocations. So this is how you build a software environment. But if I tell you in a nutshell, so there are basically first environment is called as development, second is called as QA, the third is called as staging, and some places there is another environment which is called as a pre-prod, and the final one is called as a production, which is also known as a live environment. So as dev stand for an environment which is being used by the developer. The QA environment, sometimes some people call it as a SIT environment as well, system integration testing environment. So that is being used by the QA members. And then the third environment, which is also known as stage or a pre-prod. So what is stage? In stage, we generally that particular environment is a high configuration as compared to the dev and the QA, where the user perform the user acceptance testing. Nowadays user acceptance testing was very much common during the predictive, but now we call it as a business validation testing, a final test which is being performed by the business users. And the final is something which is being used by the client or the end user or the customer, that is called as a production live environment. So now it's all about the environment, and let's talk about who build these environment. So generally when there are different service provider, like an operating system, Windows is being provided by Microsoft, then you have a Linux, right? Then you have many other operating systems. Suppose you are dealing with the Microsoft OS, which is like a Windows. So there will be your enterprise infrastructure group, your application infrastructure engineer, your database engineer from your company, and from service provider, which is a Microsoft in this case. Their infra engineer and your infra engineer will work together and define that how much core, how much CPU, how much a different configuration do you need, what schema, what table, if you are dealing with the database, what are the different details you are requiring. So they both have to, your enterprise team and the service provider infrastructure group have to work together and configure these environment. Every environment has a cost associated, dollar value associated with that. So I have seen a lot of MNC company prefer to have minimum 4 environment, but if you are looking out for what is the least required, then I would say dev, QA and production. These are the bare minimum requirement for an environment. You must be thinking, then if that's the case, then why stage and pre-prod? So stage and pre-prod helps you because stage environment you can perform your performance testing. What is performance testing? It's like a non-functional testing, right? Like a stress testing, volume testing, and all type of, in order to check that how much your application can perform the load. So that's about the third performance testing which you use for staging. What is pre-prod? Pre-prod is an exact replica of what you have in prod. So before you promote your code from lower environment to the production, you wanted to test that for a final time as in a pre-prod environment to check the compatibility and configuration, whether it is working as perfectly fine or not. At times, business users also uses it. So I think that's pretty much about it. Coming to the code promotion, so there are altogether, you will have a DevOps team who promote the code from one environment to the other environment. You can have your separate release team who can also help, and there are many promotion. For a code promotion, you may have, if you are working with the on-prem, or if you are working in a centralized server type of model, so you will use branching strategy using a GitHub. GitHub is a code repository where everybody commit, all the developer commit their code, and then you use that. When you are dealing with the Azure cloud, the concept is altogether different. In Azure cloud, you will use the GitHub Actions, AKS cluster related things, and there are serverless or servlet type of code promotion which you perform using the Azure. So code promotion is also known as code turnover. So you promote the code from dev to QA, from QA to UAT, from UAT, which is also known as stage, to pre-prod, and finally there will be a proper release management. In my previous video, I have already talked about the release management process. I request you to go through by that, and that's where you'll come to know how the release management, after release management, anything gets promoted into the code, the final live environment. That's pretty much for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. I look forward for your comment.